Hi guys, this is Johnny at Gecko, and it's my absolute pleasure and privilege to be talking you through our brand new events streaming functionality. There's so much to show you. There's been a lot of love and care that's been thrown into this, and we genuinely think this is going to make a huge difference. We'll go through the reasons why, how this is set up from an administrative perspective, from a student perspective, and also from an event host perspective as well during the course of this video. So there's a lot to cram in. So looking forward to showing you this. Firstly, to talk a little bit about the current process. Now, as a lot of you will know, at the beginning of last year, when everything kind of went downhill in terms of everything getting locked down and the need suddenly being moved away from physical events over to the virtual arena, we released the functionality to allow you to use your existing Gecko visit management system for your events, to be able to carry on managing your events in as close to the same way as possible as you could. So by that I mean booking forms still worked. You could link your events, create your sessions, make use of the great event comms flow that you guys are getting set up with, and all was good in that respect. However, there was a problem. There was a friction point in that when it got to the point that I had my RSVP page up and as a student I was ready to join a session, I would oftentimes be taken to a Teams link or a Zoom link or another link that would necessitate me having to enter personal credentials, which is kind of jarring for the student flow because I'm seeing a ticket with my name on it. I'm suddenly being asked for my details again. Even worse, sometimes I'm asked to download brand new software onto either my phone or onto my desktop or laptop in order to just make that call, which for the student, any barriers that we throw up in front of them are barriers which are going to potentially turn them away from what we want them to do, i.e. to turn up to this session, especially when engagement is so difficult as it is in the current climate. Which has kind of necessitated us and taken us on a journey where we're wanting to keep that journey as frictionless as possible, and have the ability for the student to view the stream directly from the RSVP page, which is what we've done. Now, let's go through this in a bit more detail. We'll go through hopefully some of the other virtues as we go along, but I want to show you how easy this is to get set up. Now, it's worth pointing out that I am going to be hosting my event through Gecko, but if you do want to continue using the events, the virtual events functionality in the way that you have been using it, don't worry, you absolutely can. Just the only additional step now is when you click virtual, make sure you select third party, pop in your webinar link, and the student will have the option to join that, and hopefully it's a clear and easy journey. However, if you're wanting to make use of the event streaming, click hosted instead. Now, all that you need to do here, I'm going to be demoing this with Zoom, but this is also supported by any streaming service that supports RTMPS. I always forget the acronym and muddle up the letters, sorry. Any system that allows you to stream using these credentials can be used, so that there's a wide range of them. We'll include more information in the article below, but for the sake of this I am using Zoom. So if we hop over to Zoom, I'm going to start my camera, and it's going to be jarring because I'm going to be in many places at once. My apologies. Let's hit the More button and then Live on Custom Live Streaming Service. And here we're asked for some key credentials, a streaming URL and a streaming key. Now, the idea goes as this. For you to effectively run your event, and in this case this is a very simple event, we will look at a slightly more complex use case in a moment though. But the idea is your event is hosted on an external platform, in this case Zoom. So all of your speakers for your session are going to be on this one Zoom call. So you only need to arrange a really simple Zoom call. All of your students are on Gecko, and all you need to do is link your Gecko event to your Zoom call. Students will not be attending Zoom, meaning you don't have to take a tedious list of participants and export them and reconcile those two things to see who's attended. Likewise, they're not going to be breaking any functionality or seeing things that they shouldn't, or disrupting you on this particular call, because they are never going to be on that Zoom call. They are going to be able to watch it though, as we're streaming it into Gecko. So let's put in these credentials, the stream URL into the streaming URL. Let's put the stream key into the streaming key, and annoyingly for Zoom they do have this third field which is entirely redundant. It's a live streaming URL. It won't do anything. You can just put geckoengage.com. You can put your own web page if you want. It's not going to make the blindest bit of difference because this URL is not set up to link you to this page. So I'm going to click go live now. it's going to do its thing. If I hop back to Zoom, we can see we are now live on a custom live streaming service. And as soon as this redirects me to the web page I put in, which was Gecko Engage, and we'll see that doesn't, there will be no stream on this page anyway, then we know that that stream is live. Now I'm going to go ahead and we'll pick, these are all fake contacts, so don't worry, I'm not divulging people's names. So we'll pick a random contact here and view that RSVP page. Now, actually, the event doesn't start until 4, so there's not an awful lot we can do. But if we, I think it's in attendee options, no, it's in somewhere. This is embarrassing, I should definitely know this. Minutes before check-in time, let's say a good 9 million or so minutes beforehand. And if we return to the RSVP page, give that a quick load, we now have the ability to join our session. Now, again, what would have happened here is I click join now in the previous behavior. I click join now. I would then have a link to my webinar and I could click that, and then I would have to go through whatever steps I needed to do to join that, be that downloading software, be that entering information. I now have the ability to go directly to the stream hosted by Gecko. And we'll notice there I am in glorious, terrible Technicolor. So there's a few things to point out here. Firstly, if I move one of my faces up, we can see that we have the Zoom call. There's a slight lag on this. I'll pause this just to not freak anyone else out as much, and what a weird place to pause there. But we have the ability to pause this, we can change the volume, we can make this full screen. Anyone who's at the same place as me in the stream has the ability to react. This is a really popular feature on platforms such as Facebook Live, on Twitch, on Periscope, etc. We're also pulling through the branding from the account. So I'm on a Gecko account, so it'll pull through mine, but for your institution, your logo will go there. It can be fully customized. Likewise, the hex colors for time remaining on the event, on the session as well, is going to be pulled through, meaning that we're keeping the branding as commensurate with yours as possible. Likewise, we're also pulling through details about the event. So who's hosting this, their information about the event is pulled through. And also, as we'll see in a few moments, if I have a session, a couple of sessions I've booked onto, my itinerary is included. As a final point here, we do also have a live chat functionality. So students can join under whatever name that they want. It doesn't really matter, and they can engage with that's a ridiculous place to stop, goodness me. They can engage with the host, they can engage with other attendees, they can engage with any admins as well and have their questions directly answered through here. So it's a really lovely self-contained area. We'll notice that the student themselves has now been marked as attended. We know that they've attended because they've joined the live stream. We're able to track that. Now, to dive into this in a little bit more detail, we've also added the ability to generate admin pages. So we envisage this being used by people who are there to help out with the stream. Now, there is a lag on this stream. The reason being, if the person who's hosting this Zoom call, if their internet goes down, so we can see that's still ongoing. If I hit pause, that's going to bring us up to the latest point in the stream. But if their stream goes down, we want the stream to still continue without it saying connection issues, so that there's a generous amount of time for the host to reconnect before students notice there being any downtime. You do have the ability to call out any messages from students, and let's make use of this by pretending that we're a video admin. So I don't want to play the sound just here. Let's say helper, Gecko U helper. So if I join now, I can see there's a student who's online, and so if I ask a question, so can I ask a question about financial aid? As either a host or a video admin, I can call this question out. So we can have that presented. So all other students on the stream will see this question. We can see who's asking it. We can have the question attended to on the live stream. Likewise, when new speakers come, I have the ability to highlight the host. So in a really professional, engaging way, we can mention and show who's speaking at any given time. And again, this information can be automatically generated using template tags and emailed out to the hosts or the admin before the session begins, so everybody has the correct information in one place. So let's look at this. Let's actually move away from that particular event because it was frightening me, quite frankly, seeing myself on the screen a couple of times. And let's move over to a slightly more complex use case. What we were looking at before there was it was a single event. So one of the most basic event types you can run through Gecko. But now let's go for the most complex, a multiple session event. So this is an event that spans the course of the day. It has a range of different times and activities. And you'll notice if we go to the location section, we're not actually enabling the stream through here because we're setting it on a session by session basis for each session type that we're running. So you choose which stream goes live and which credentials you want to generate for which particular session and attribute them against the correct call. And the upshot is it's a really seamless process for the student. So let's go to the RSVP page. I'm going to duplicate this for reasons that should hopefully become clear in a few moments, but we can see that there's one session that's ongoing at the moment. I'm joining this as a Gecko student, but we'll notice that for my particular session, I have my hosts unique to this session. I can see who's hosting this. Ideally, it's going to be Duncan and Chris, but also I can see this information from my upcoming sessions, mirroring that of my RSVP page. So let's actually go to the event and let's make it so that I can potentially join the, in fact, which session would it be? It was the virtual campus tour at 6 o'clock. So let's make sure that, again, we can self-check in many minutes before this particular session is due to begin. So if I refresh this now, as a student, I can watch this particular session as it goes, as it's hosted by Duncan and Chris in this regards. But then as soon as the time becomes available for me to join the session, be that 5 minutes before, 9 million minutes before, or anything like that, I have the ability for this information to be ready for me. So I'm not having to back out my RSVP page. I'm not having to be distracted. In this one place, I can see how long my session's remaining, and I can join any additional sessions when the time is ready. For us, we see this as being a massive deal for students and for yourselves. It's a really simplified way of managing these events. It's a really easy way and frictionless experience for the students, but they're not having to dash around between different platforms. They're not having to get a ton of different links. From their experience, they've just clicked on the first session to join, and then they've been led through their itinerary as and when each session becomes available. Which is a hugely beneficial one. So let's just add this again. And to review, we've released the video streaming functionality. You'll find it in any event. Depending on the type of event will dictate how you want to set this up, but ultimately you want to use the option to host this through Gecko. That generates credentials that you can use then to link your streaming platform, which is going to be used exclusively by your hosts, because the great news is students don't have to go there anymore. They can view everything through Gecko, and that links it to the RSVP pages. Sessions are managed through event streams where you can generate those credentials individually for each session as you go. We've introduced brand new template tags which can be called into emails or text messages that can be sent out ahead of time to these video pages as well, so do make use of those. And we have specific admin and video hosting pages that allow you to jump into any session at any given time and call out information on the hosts, call out informations and conversations in the chat that are going to be discussed or are being discussed by the panel in real time. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is really the first steps that we're taking into this arena, but we definitely see the benefits as being there. We hope this makes sense. Of course, we'll be keeping you updated on new updates. We'd love to hear your feedback on what you think of this, and thanks very, very much for watching.